begun, shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future. Together. EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa.
Good morning. Not sustainable. Good morning. Awesome. Thank you so much and welcome to EcoBank Ghana PLC head office. This is our lovely auditorium. This morning, we are excited to have all of you here, industry players, our partners, our customers, and our soon-to-be customers. That excites me. Thank you for joining us this morning as EcoBank Ghana PLC, in collaboration with the Association of Ghana Industries, bring to you our first in our client workshop series. And this morning, we are focusing on the manufacturing sector. This morning, what are we discussing? We are discussing unlocking manufacturing, a roadmap to effective ESG implementation. Whenever we meet like this, we always say that at EcoBank, for us, sustainability is a matter of survival. Because for us to be foolproof for the future, we need to operate sustainably. And so we are excited to be doing this with AGI, a non-profit business organization that strives to contribute sustainably to the growth and development of industry through effective policy advocacy and provision of business support services. And undoubtedly, the number one voice for industry by growing a strong industrial base with key sectors that are globally competitive. So if you are here, you are the right place. And this is hybrid. So in this room, we are almost 50. That's a very good number to start with. Online, we have some of our partners and some of your colleagues joining us as well. So welcome if you're online. And if you're hearing us now, yes, we are live. So please share the link and invite another, a friend, your business partners to join us as we walk through an exciting morning where we learn so that our business will be future-proof and will be sustainable. There's a quote that I have from one of my former bosses, Mr. Paul Poman, former CEO of Unilever, and he says that we cannot choose between economic growth and sustainability. We must have both. So it is not one or the other. So this morning we are looking at how we can have both. So as we grow in the manufacturing sector, as our businesses grow, we'll be minded and conscious of what we do to the environment, because this is the only planet we are stuck on this place, isn't it? So thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your patience as we were waiting for some of our colleagues to join. So we will not spend your time talking. I would like to invite one lady in EcoBank that we all love. Ladies and gentlemen, to give us a welcome address is a country chief risk officer and chief sustainability executive for EcoBank Ghana Limited. She was appointed chief risk officer in 2019 by the bank to oversee the enterprise-wide risk functions across the bank. She's an accomplished and seasoned banker with extensive banking experience in risk management, commercial banking, and corporate banking. In August 15, 2023 to December 31, 2023, she was appointed acting managing director of this esteemed organization, EcoBank Ghana, from holding the fort until our new managing director, Abna Osei, took over the reins of affairs in January 2023. She has performed various roles in the EcoBank Group and currently serves as the regional risk manager covering Anglophone West Africa Ladies and gentlemen, our welcome address from none other than Joanna Mensah. An applause for her.
Stephen Ama. Welcome, Mr. Ama. Acting Director of the roadmap to effective ESG implementation. This client workshop series is further enriched by the collaboration between EcoBank, the Association of AGI, leveraging industry-specific knowledge and extensive network to address the challenges faced by Ghanaian manufacturing companies in their sustainability endeavors, and to explore further opportunities for growing business sustainably. At EcoBank, we are committed to being a leader in sustainability across our entire business. We recognize the critical role that financial institutions play in driving positive environmental and social change. This commitment is reflected in our numerous sustainability initiatives, including developing financial instruments specifically designated to support renewable energy projects and energy-efficient manufacturing technologies, partnering with NGOs to promote sustainable agricultural practices for our clients, investing in social impact projects that empower communities and promote financial inclusion, implementing robust environmental and social risk management framework throughout our lending processes. These are just a few examples, and we constantly innovate to find new ways to integrate sustainability into our core business. The manufacturing sector is a significant contributor to both economic growth and environmental impact. As such, it plays a critical role in the transition towards a more sustainable future. We at EcoBank recognize the challenges faced by manufacturing companies in your sustainable journeys. Indeed, we've banked manufacturing concerns over the years and interacted with them, and we really realize that, in trying to become sustainable or even implementing the environmental standards, is a tough journey. Sometimes we even ask clients to implement certain action plans to enable them become sustainable. And these journeys are just, difficult for some of the customers. But at the end, it pays off, for them. So together, our aim is to partly work with you to find ways to overcome all the challenges and explore further opportunities. It is important to note, however, that this workshop is part of a series designed to engage clients across various sectors. We therefore plan to provide tailored workshops for other industries from now on. So we'll be looking at sector by sector, and we'll be informing the AGI accordingly when we put together the programs for the next series. Our long-term ambition is for EcoBank to go beyond being a mere financial services institution, providing funding and other banking services to businesses, but also to support and guide you in achieving your sustainable goals. Leveraging relevant partnerships. That is why we found it appropriate to collaborate with AGI for the maiden edition. This workshop that aims to equip you with the knowledge and tools necessary to develop and implement effective ESG strategies within our operations, navigate the revolving regulatory landscape surrounding sustainability, access financing solutions that support your sustainability initiatives, and then optimize your operations for environmental efficiency and social responsibility. By the end of this workshop, it is our expectation that you walk away with a clear roadmap for implementing effective ESG practices within your manufacturing operations. Here at EcoBank, we believe that working together, financial institutions, businesses, and regulatory bodies, we can create a more sustainable and a prosperous future for all. That you agree with me is better. It's a better way to building a better Ghana, a better Africa, indeed, a better world. Thank you once again for joining us today. We look forward to an engaging and productive workshop. Thank you.
Can I have a more sustained clap for Lady J? Thank you, John Amensa, Country Chief Risk Officer for EcoBank Ghana. Thank you. This is EcoBank, the bank that prides itself as the bank that has Africa at heart. Africa is our purpose, and therefore we do everything and we strive to ensure that we build a better Africa on a daily basis, including ensuring that Africa is sustained for me, for you, and for the generations to come after us. And so, to tell us more about EcoBank and all that we do with sustainability and ESG, was the next speaker that I'm going to talk about. And this next speaker, she's a very exciting lady, and she will be here to tell you about sustainability and ESG at EcoBank. She's the head of Group Sustainability and ESG for EcoBank Transnational Incorporation. She's responsible for supervising the bank's 33 subsidiaries' global sustainability and ESG initiatives. She collaborates with the board and teams to develop strategies and policies that integrate sustainability into all aspects of the bank's operations. She has been featured on CNBC Africa and other platforms as a media commentator on sustainable finance-related topics in Africa. She's also the sustainability spokesperson for EcoBank. She holds a Master of Science from the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom, a law degree from the University of Pretoria in South Africa, and a Bachelor of Commerce from the same institution. She is the Deputy Chair of the International Capital Markets West Africa Regional Committee and a former member of the Center for Environmental Rights in South Africa Non-Executive Board. Distinguished guests, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Rachel Entry, our Group Head of Sustainability, Environmental and Social Risk, to tell us about sustainability and ESG in EcoBank. This morning, we have to sustain these things. So it has to be a
Thank you for the very good introduction. And thank Joanna as well. It's very good to see all of you here today. And it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be able to join you for this very beautiful event. I will keep mine short. As everyone has told you, sustainability, climate change, and everything. And I'd like you to know that for us at EcoBank, sustainability is more than just words, and you've heard it. But let me explain a little bit further to you what it means to us. If you look at how climate change is literally changing the environments that we live in, how it's going to cause both a financial and economic risk. If EcoBank, as a platform that has a purpose to drive the economic and financial integration of the African continent, is heavily invested in African countries that are going to be impacted by climate change through, for example, droughts. We are heavily invested in the agricultural sector. And if the agricultural sector is going to be impacted by climate change through droughts, through floods, and all of that, you can imagine that this would have a serious impact on our own balance sheet. And not just that, also on our livelihoods as well as citizens, corporate citizens of Africa, and also just general citizens. So for us, it's very important for us in EcoBank to take this seriously, because Africa is our home. There is no other home for us. And being our home means that we take care of it, and we ensure that its existence is not just for today, but for many generations to come. So it's an absolute responsibility and a risk. Now, for us as an organization, we sit, my role, I'll explain my role, what I do and across the organization. I sit at EcoBank Group, which is the group that oversees the 33 subsidiaries. Now, at the group level, we set the EcoBank policies, and these policies are then cascaded across the various regions. And as you can see, EcoBank Ghana is one of our flagship subsidiaries that are doing very well in sustainability. Last year, if I'm correct, we won an award for the best bank in sustainability. We also won a couple of years ago for the best sustainability-linked loan. The best sustainability bond, which was the first ever bond that had been issued on the whole African continent. This bond was used to support a lot of projects on the continent, which is whether it is SME projects across various sectors or large corporates across many of the sectors, including manufacturing, agriculture, a little bit of oil and gas, not a lot of oil and gas, but the youth and everything else. So it is something that, sustainability is something that we take seriously and embed within everything that we do. Our strategy overall is made up of 7 core pillars. And these 7 pillars are what we use to integrate sustainability across the whole organization. I wouldn't bore you much by going into all of it. I would like you to please, as you walk out of the door, if you don't have a copy of this on your desk, that if you take it as you're going out, we have a QR code that would give you an overview of everything that we do. It will give you access to our sustainability report, all the things that we do, how we integrate sustainability across the organization. But for a brief overview, it is made up of the 7 pillars, as I had said, which is sustainable finance, which is sort of the engine of the organization, how we finance and support our customers. Then we also have policies and procedures. Policies and procedures are, I always say, it's like the bedrock of an organization. Without the right policies, without the right regulations, you actually lose your social license to operate. The next aspect of it is also about how we decarbonize our operations, which we call our own operations, and as you know it, this is the environmental work that we do to decarbonize how much we emit emissions into the atmosphere as an organization. As you know, for a bank, we do not necessarily emit as much as other customers that we have. But in terms of the Paris Agreement, we have an obligation to ensure that when we direct the flow of capital through our financing, we have a legal responsibility to make sure that our customers are not polluting the environment and also causing more damage. So that's where through it we manage our customers, our own loan portfolio, our own carbon footprint. As you can see, EcoBank Ghana also has a Green Edge certification, which shows that this building has been managed for energy efficiency and has actually been certified as being green. So these are some of the things that we do. Over and above as well, we look at a people, which is one of the pillars in our sustainability strategy. pillar are people. When it comes to that, we look at diversity and inclusion, which is a very important thing for us. Our CEO has now established a diversity and an inclusion committee, which is looking at promoting more women across the whole organization, and maybe not just more women, also disabled and other disadvantaged groups as well. Through the people strategy is also where we embed a lot of the training for the staff to increase the sustainability knowledge across the whole organization. The other pillar is also governance. It's very similar to our policies and procedure pillar. Governance is where we make sure that we integrate sustainability across all the policies that we have or all the governance structures. So within the board structure, sustainability reports directly into it. There is a policy that manages it, the policy that oversees it and ensures that it is integrated in every aspect of the work we do, every committee, and everything else. The last bit, as you know, the last two, which I put together, is community engagement and community and stakeholder engagement, as well as advocacy. This is where we engage with our community, because our community is what makes us. And one of the things that, one of the pillars in what we promote is events like this, where we are able to share what we do with our customers and the community, and you're also able to give us a good feedback. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the overview of our sustainability strategy. Is the 7 pillars, as I have mentioned, with underlying core objectives and pillars in terms of what we're going to achieve under each and every one of them. Unfortunately, we don't have a presentation to show it, but we do have this presentation. We do have it in our sustainability reports that I'd like to invite you all to please read. So without much further ado, I would like to say thank you, because I have spoken a lot, and invite the next speaker. But I'm available if you have any more questions on everything else that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. This was slightly sustained, but we're getting there. Thank you so much. You know, as Rachel was speaking, I looked at this quote from David Brower, and he aptly puts it, says, "There's no business on a dead planet." That's what we believe in. There's no business on a dead planet, so we must have this planet. We must sustain it and be here to work. So thank you so much for telling us more about EcoBank and what we do with sustainability and ESG. Please, just a few housekeeping for us. If you registered, please check your email. We print less. We are mindful of paper pollution. So if you registered, we've sent you the program for the day. So you see the running order in your email. It's been sent to you. Please check. If you're online, I am sure that you would come along with us as we go on. We are live on almost all our platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. So like I said earlier, share the link. And if you must go out and go to the restroom, you can use the left. This is the left, this is my right, right? You use the right. Please, when you go out there, just your immediate right, you would be comfortable. So if you need help, you step out. We have some of our colleagues out there to help you as well. But please check your emails for the program for the day. Thank you. So I said earlier that this is the first of our series that we are doing, and we are doing this in collaboration with the AGI, and we are focusing on the manufacturing sector today. So we have our partners here, and thank you so much for AGI for doing this with us. We appreciate your support. Once we do this with AGI, it tells you we have all the backing from all the industries, and we are starting with you. You are lucky to be the first. And so we'd like to also have your feedback when we are done. So right on your table, there's a QR code that I'm just reminding you, as you go through it, please note your feedback, because we will do more of these series, so that if there's anything that you picked up that we can look at and correct in the subsequent series, we would love to do that. We are doing this together, so let's co-create this series so that it benefits all of us. Distinguished guest, our next speaker is an industrial development advocate working with the leading private sector organization, AGI, as the Chief Executive Officer. He has a degree in economics, University of Ghana, Legon. He's a business development consultant by profession and was once the coordinator for Internet Program, a Dutch government organization that supported migrant entrepreneurs in the Netherlands to set up businesses. Our August speaker joined AGI as a business development consultant and later rose to head the AGI business unit as director for business development services. During this period, he managed a number of development projects, including the Government of Ghana World Bank UNIDO Industrial Subcontracting and Partnership Exchange Program, market development programs in West Africa, and international business linkage programs. He was elevated to the position of Chief Executive Officer in 2011 and has since been leading the AGI team on policy advocacy, provision of business development services for the members, and heads the entire directorate of the association, including 6 regional branches. He coordinates the activities of the 23 different industry sectors under the AGI membership. As a consultant, our speaker has undertaken several research projects and written many policy papers on national, industrial, and business issues. He serves on the boards of several national and international institutions and private organizations in Ghana. Distinguished guests, please help me welcome to the podium the Chief Executive Officer of AGI, Mr. Sechum Akwabua.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the long introduction. I'm stepping in also for the regional chairman of Accra. AGI, we have several branches, and Accra is an industry branch itself. We have Tema as a branch, and all the geographical areas, we have different executives and different chairpersons handling the various regions. So Accra region, the chairman was the one coordinating this program with you. Unfortunately, he traveled and he's had a few challenges with his flights, so I had to step in. But I'm happy to be here, and indeed, it would have been unfortunate if I had missed this, because I'm hearing a lot of good things that EcoBank is doing. I'm very much appreciative of it. And indeed, EcoBank has been one of our strong members over the years. If for nothing at all, you pay your subscription, and that keeps us going. But beyond the subscription, you've also supported us in some of the things we do, and we very much appreciate it. But we are even more excited about the fact that you are collaborating with us, or you have invited us to be part of this arrangement, and then this particular workshop, which is bringing to light very important issues concerning sustainability and efforts you are making in leading this. We very much appreciate it. We understand that it is also becoming, it is a requirement of Bank of Ghana for the banks to also meet certain sustainability requirements. And but I believe you are doing this not just because of the mandatory requirement from Bank of Ghana, but it's just the right thing to do. Because as the previous speaker just said, the issues of sustainability and environment have become very pertinent to our development, and everybody must be concerned about it. So we are equally concerned, and therefore we love the effort that you are making. But not just because we are also part of the environment, we need to work to be sure that we all promote and contribute to the sustainability of the environment, but it also makes business sense. And for business people, we should also look at it from the business angle as well. And it's becoming a major issue in international trade. Recently, the EU came up with a policy called the CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which is requiring that for some products, they have listed a number of products. For those products, if you're exporting to the EU, they must do the traceability way back to your country and be sure that you are meeting the emission requirements of the EU. Otherwise, you cannot export those products. Apparently, the EU was very strict on the emission requirements, and some of the companies were relocating to other countries and bringing the products there. And they said that is not fair, and therefore, let's be sure that wherever you locate, we'll bring that policy on you. So if you want to bring your product to the EU market, then you must meet those requirements. And it's becoming a big, big business issue. Even if you are buying raw materials from a developing country, they are tracking it to be sure that you meet those requirements. So it's becoming a big business issue. They've also come out with another policy they call the EUDR, EU Deforestation Program. It means that if you are also operating and where you are operating, you are affecting the environment to the extent that you are deforesting the environment, they will not allow your products to come to the EU market. Clearly tells us the threat we have with galamsey. Very soon it will become a big issue for us in exporting to the European Union. We want to say, let's fight this, let's advocate. We could do all the advocacy, but it is becoming the trend worldwide that businesses are being compelled to comply with some of these environmental issues. So we have no choice than to also step up into it. And you recall that just this year's budget, government has introduced what they call the carbon emission tax. We are still negotiating and discussing with government how it's going to be implemented. Aspect of it, I'm sure, has already started, the one on vehicles. But there are aspects that relates to calculating the exact emission that industries are committing to the atmosphere, and then they will tax it. So all these challenges are there with us, so we must be aware. So we're very happy that EcoBank has taken up the responsibility and the task to educate us and to bring us all on board on matters of this nature. It is very, very important. So we appreciate EcoBank for this laudable initiative. On the part of AGI, we are also doing a lot in this area. We are equally concerned about the possible effect of some of these on our members, and therefore, and also there are opportunities. I must also mention the opportunity areas. Indeed, today, if you are able to contain and operate in a very safe environment and you're able to reduce your emissions and all that, you can also apply for carbon credit. And people are making a lot of money out of it. So as businesses, we must be aware of this. And I believe with the support from EcoBank, we should be able to harness some of these opportunities. For us in AGI, we've set up what we call the AGI Energy Service Center. And I believe we're going to have a presentation on it very soon. But the thrust of it is that we must make good use of our energy. So energy efficiency, and then we are also promoting renewable energy. These are all key elements of the sustainability issues. And we have a whole department that is handling this. It's a whole big center coordinated by a German. It's been supported by the GIZ, and it's been running for 4 years now. So we are encouraging companies to come to us, and we will help you reduce your energy consumption. By reducing energy consumption, you are reducing emissions into the atmosphere. And it's making business sense because you are reducing your cost of production and making you more competitive. And then also promoting renewable energy. If you use solar and the rest, you reduce the level of emissions. Indeed, when they are calculating the carbon emission tax, they're going to take account of the electricity consumption that you are using. So if you use more of the renewable energy, you are likely to also reduce your carbon tax that you'll be paying. So it is very important that we take note of this. AGI also has established a program we call GRIPE, which is a Ghana Recycling Initiative by Private Enterprises. It's basically helping to collect waste plastics in the system and making sure that when it's collected, it is taken elsewhere for further processing into other products. We know how the plastic menace has worried us. And most of our companies that are using plastic as packaging materials, they have been equally concerned about this development. In fact, at some point, there was a threat of banning the use of plastics. But ADI felt that it wasn't the best approach to it if you want to deal with the environmental issue. Let's rather have a second life of plastics. So we set up this organization, and a lot of big companies, the Coca-Colas, the Accra Breweries, Unilever, Fan Milk, Nestle, they all came together to support us to establish this. And today, we have what we call buyback centers in a number of places. We have some in Accra, we have some in Kumasi, some in Takoradi. And all we're doing is that when the plastic waste, when the plastic is littered on the street, people can collect it and bring it to the center. We give them some small money, and then they pick it and go and process. By so doing, we are reducing the minutes associated with plastic. It's all part of the environmental sustainability program, and ADI is leading this effort. We've also recently had a project with GIZ. It's called the ACUM project. Not GIZ, sorry, another organization in Germany. And here we are supporting some students, and we are working in collaboration with the KNUST. So we have a number of students in the engineering and environmental department, and they are being trained on environmental related matters. We notice that a lot of our companies do not have much knowledge about this, and therefore we need a certain critical mass of expertise in the system and deploy them to industries. So we are helping to train these students, and as part of the training, they go on attachment. We deploy them to our companies for attachment, and then they learn on the field, they learn on the job, and also pick knowledge from the school and implement it on the ground. This is also going on, and we urge members to contact us to receive some of these interns, and it will help you a great deal. So we are actually gradually migrating the ESG into a sustainability center. There are a lot of activities that we are going to be undertaking in this respect to support companies and our members. Today we are talking continental free trade, and everybody is talking about it. It requires us to open our doors duty-free, quota-free for every goods to enter, which is right. So Ghana, we are opening our doors. We are also entering other markets. But the fact is that the laws allows you to enter a country with your goods. However, there could be other impediments. If countries come up with their own internal policies and say, we are not preventing you from coming to our country with your goods. However, we have a certain emissions level that we are targeting. If your product doesn't meet that level of emission, your goods cannot enter our market. What are you going to do? So there are other ways of making life more difficult for us, and therefore the earlier we adapt some of these principles, the better as we go forward. So we are happy that EcoBank is leading this, and we understand that you've earmarked, you have some $16 million facility or so. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the information I'm getting. That is for sustainability-related matters. So we encourage our members to tap into this resource. Those who want to go solar, those who want to do all kinds of things, whether consultancy or whatever, apply for it, and then let's see how best we can all work together to make it work. We also inviting EcoBank to partner us in other activities that we do. This is just Accra. And even Accra, this is a small number of our members that are here. I think we can do a lot more of this even within Accra. We can go to Tema. Tema is a region by itself. We can go to Takoradi, we can do Kumasi, we can do other regions so that we educate people about issues of sustainability, its potential impact on our businesses, and opportunities in there which will help us upscale, and then the collaboration with you, how you can also finance some of these projects. So we invite you to continue the partnership with us. We also invite you to join us for our industry summit in September, which is a very important summit where all industry players come together and we discuss policy issues. And indeed, this year, one of the key topics for discussion is going to be on this. We are already partnering the European Union on this, and I hope EcoBank will also come on board very strongly. So thank you very much once again, and we'll continue working with you. Unfortunately, I was invited for another program to be a discussant at University of Ghana. And this is so important that I said, regardless, I will come here first before I go there. So at some point, if you see me sneaking out, it's not because I've ignored the meeting, but my other colleagues are here. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a very insightful message from the AGI Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Seth Chum Akwabua. You know, the summary, as we was talking, I was just jotting down on my paper, and the summary of what I captured from all that he said. And as manufacturers, he said, there's a better way to make the things we want and we need. There's a better way to do everything that we are doing. A way that does not destroy our soil, our water bodies, and even the air we breathe. So I'm happy that this came from the boss himself. Shall we please give another round of applause? Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your message. We appreciate it. So if you are here joining us online, it is our first in the series of our ESG client series from EcoBank. This morning, we are focusing on the manufacturing sector, on the theme, Unlocking Manufacturing, a roadmap to effective ESG implementation. So you are at the right place. I'll continue to say, please share the link so you do not benefit alone. We have a lot of insights and business nuggets for you to walk away with so that you can operate sustainably for now and the near future. Thank you all. So we are getting to a session where we have 3 exciting sessions that presentations from some of our experts in the room, and each of them 15 minutes max, they will talk to us. After that, we'll have a breakout session. So please, as you are speaking, your notepads are there, your pen. Please be noting some of the things. If you have questions and you happen to be in those rooms, that's your opportunity. But we are doing this together so that we pick your ideas. As they share their thoughts, there'll be an opportunity for you to also share your thoughts with us. So for this first session, we have a presentation on the impact of the central bank principles on sustainable business practices by the Bank of Ghana. The impact of central bank principles on sustainable business practices by the Bank of Ghana. And to give us this presentation is a man that has been with the central bank as a senior supervisor for 15 years in supervision, regulation, and related financial sector issues. He is a policy analyst and head of sustainability office within the Banking Supervision Department of the Bank of Ghana. He participates actively in international and domestic discussions on climate and sustainability issues. He holds a first degree in BSc Mathematics from the KNUST, as well as a master's degree in Finance and Risk Management from the Oklahoma Christian University, USA. He has worked with several international organizations, also served on various working groups to design global guidelines on a number of relevant topics. Notably, he has been a key member in the development and implementation of Ghana's sustainable banking principles and sector guidance notes since 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we please welcome Mr. Stephen Ama as he takes us through this presentation for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. So 15 minutes, I'll use 2 minutes to say 1 or 2 things, and I'll allow my colleague to come and give you a broad overview on the Bank of Ghana's sustainable banking principle. Of course, we do appreciate what EcoBank is doing, and of course, what they are doing is not out of the blue. It's backed by rules and regulations, and of course, if you look at the central bank, our mandate as a bank to ensure stability of the system for honorable customers like you to really have businesses that will thrive in the system, and of course for people to get employed, we have to come up with some principles and rules that will govern your work in respect of the sustainability issues that we have discussed. And of course we know that in fact it has become a key issue that we have to address as a bank, and not only as a bank but all key stakeholders including you. So we understand this meeting. The time is very short for me to really go far, but the key thing is that if you implement these principles, as EcoBank is implementing, they are going to ensure that the customers they deal with directly, that's their counterparts, really ensure that they enshrine issue of ESG. And we have come up with key principles that we want them to ensure that the customers comply, in addition to the bank itself also complying. And we believe that if that is done, it will make EcoBank safe and sound for you to do your business with. EcoBank will also contribute to the stability of the financial system. And together we have a very robust financial system that will support businesses in our economy. So I wouldn't want to say a bunch. I will call my colleague to just give you a broad overview within 10 minutes of what we issue in 2019 for adoption of banks and, of course, for implementation by all stakeholders. So my colleague's name is Timothy Fusu.
Good morning once again. My name is Timothy Fusu from the Bank of Ghana, and my presentation will be on the impact of central bank principles on sustainable business practices. So, to start this conversation, I would like us to define what sustainability is. Now, sustainability can be defined as meeting the needs of the present without, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And this is a very, very important term. So in layman terms, we can say it's living a better world than the world we came to meet. So when we look at sustainability from the Bank of Ghana's principle, we are trying to look at how the 7 banking principles can be integrated into banking activities. And these banking activities will then influence your clients, that's you stakeholders. So someone will ask, why sustainability? Recently, I was in a discussion with a colleague, and she made mention of the fact that it's become quite rare to see things like butterflies in our environment. So someone asks, why? Butterflies are, someone will say, minute, but in effect, what's happening is they are disappearing. The butterfly as a species is gradually reducing. And what can be said of that? The main reason for this reduction in the butterfly population has to do with climate change. Now, climate change is causing butterfly species to dwindle in the sense that butterflies don't do very well under very hot conditions. So if butterflies are dwindling, someone asks, why? It's no big deal. There are other insects around. But then you have to look at it in the broader sense that butterflies also help with our pollination system. So if pollination is dwindling, butterflies are dwindling, what's the effect? Then we look at the agricultural industry in the sense that food supply will also dwindle. When food supply dwindles, what happens? Then we have a situation where demand outstrips supply. Then we have a problem with inflation. So the central bank is looking at it from this angle, how our changing environment is affecting transmission channels. Transmission channels in that sense means that looking at it from a macroeconomic perspective and a microeconomic perspective. So in 2016, the bank launched the Sustainable Banking Principles. Please, can I go to the next slide? Okay. In 2019, the bank launched the Sustainable Banking Principles, which is centered on 7 key principles. The first one is environmental and social risk management. So as clients, as banks, what do you have to do? You need to identify, you need to assess, you need to monitor your risk, your environmental and social risk. Those are very, very key. It starts at the very entry level. When you are going for a loan, you have to check the details. Does this person have an EPA permit? Is this where the factory is going to be sited? Is it going to cause harm to the people there? Those are all risks that needs to be factored in. The second principle looks at internal environment, social, and governance. Here, we encourage firms to inculcate an internal sustainability strategy. This will help banks and firms alike be able to properly grasp the ESG theme. The third one deals with corporate governance and ethical standards. Now, corporate governance is a very serious issue, and it affects a lot of institutions. So when you look at an institution like the banks, they take corporate governance very, very seriously. However, with our small, medium enterprises, we have situations where individuals are sort of like owners too. So their actions feeds on the companies they manage, which doesn't bode well for the company in the end. So we like to see a separation of the individual and the company. Principle 4 looks at gender equality. Here we want to see more women in management positions. Even on boards, we would like to see a lot more women there. Principle 5 looks at financial inclusion. That is, we want to extend banking services to the unbanked. Thankfully, with technologies like Momo, we've been able to see a broad grasp of financial inclusion at that level. Then principle 6 is resource efficiency. That's sustainable production and consumption. How you source your products, how you refine your products, how you go about developing your products. We want to see you do it in a sustainable manner. And principle 7 is reporting. In order to assess if you are doing the right thing, you need to be able to measure if you're on track or you're not on track. And reporting allows us to see how far you've gone. So, in banking, we have our traditional financial inherent risk. These are the risks that are broadly inculcated into our risk-based supervision. They are credit risk, operational risk, and liquidity risk, and market risk. So this is a new emerging threat we are very interested in, our climate risk drivers. For climate risk, there are two main risks we are faced with. That's the physical risk and the transition risk. Now, for physical risk, we are looking at the impact of adverse weather conditions on the economy as a whole. So, under physical risk, we can have chronic and acute. Acute deals with issues that are short-term. So you have a situation where there's a flood, there's a heat wave, there's a cold wave, or cyclones. Thankfully, in our part of the world, we don't have to deal with cyclones. However, interest has to do with the chronic risk. As recently, as some of you are aware, this March was one of the hottest we've ever experienced. And this can be linked to our chronic risk. So what does it bode for the economy? So when you look at something like chronic risk, the rising temperatures has led to the melting of glaciers, which in turn has caused sea levels to rise and devastated coastal communities. Look at a situation like Keta. What's happening? Imagine if an individual worked very hard, 30 years, then decides to buy his dream home, say a beachfront property. He gets there, buys it, then one morning he wakes up, the sea has taken his home. Why? Because we are experiencing sea level rise. The bank or institution that lends them the money may feel that, oh, it's a wise decision. I mean, they've done their background checks, they've done everything right. But these risks came, and now the mortgage on that building could be lost. Now, changing precipitation patterns have led to droughts in some regions and flooding in other parts. This has seen Ghana and Ivory Coast face catastrophic harvests this season. And it's true, our cocoa, when you see what's happened, the price spike, it shows you that things are changing. Next slide. Okay, so for transition risk, this deals with risk from evolving to a low carbon economy to mitigate climate change. So here we have policy and legal risk. This is when governments can say, today we are outlawing a certain industry. So imagine if you are a bank or institution and you've put in funds into this institution and suddenly this institution has stranded assets. That is, that asset no longer generates income. What happens to the loan book? And look at technology. New technology displaces old systems and disrupts some parts of the existing economic system. So what most people don't know is that electric cars require fewer parts than combustible engines. So if you have a factory that's a combustible plant, like it produces combustible engines, and a situation happens where they have to transition to electric cars, because you require fewer parts, you are going to have a situation where you have to lay off people because you need less people to do that kind of work. Then we look at that risk as a whole on the economy. Then we have behavioral and social changes. Consumers have changed the products and services they use due to climate change concern. Also, there has been an upsurge in the stigmatization of sectors such as mining, fossil fuel, and chemicals. And it's true, your devices you buy. Now, phone companies are proudly boasting that these items they are sustainably made from recycled metals, XYZ. So we are trying to link climate financial risk to ESG. So when you look at environmental risk, that's when we have our climate action failure, loss of biodiversity, extreme weather. Our social risk looks at social instability. A place gets so hot, then they have to move, so migration happens. Infectious diseases that previously weren't found in certain places, now are going to be found in places because of changing climate. Then we have our governance risk. That's where the carbon tax comes into play. Next slide. So, our risk-based supervision is a forward-looking process. And our ESG consideration to risk-based supervision is to assess climate risk drivers on significant activities, that is lending, asset liability management services, etc., and inherent risks, which influence business models and operating environments. We are going to also assess appropriate governance and accountability structure in place to manage sustainability and climate-related risk. Then thirdly, we assess the development and implementation of a transition plan in line with business plan and strategy via the development of internal sustainability strategy. Then we also evaluate the sustainability and reporting metrics. So what are the opportunities for businesses? So when you apply a sustainability strategy, you are more likely to reduce your operating costs, get access to green finance, and reduce your reputational risk. So, how is ESG in business strategy and processes? So as a firm, you see the world, what's happening right now. You are going to monitor the changing business environment and evaluate long-term resilience. So what you are currently doing now, do you see it's still taking place in the next couple of years, 20, 30 years, the business you are currently running? We also have to set ESG-related strategy objectives or limits. Despite the fact that you may be operating in an industry that may not be contributing well to the climate, it is the onus on you is to set strategic objectives or limits. Maybe we are going to try and reduce our amount of carbon we are going to emit. We're going to use more green power. We're going to do things that are more environmentally friendly. Then engaging with counterparties and relevant stakeholders. That involves going to your workshops, your regulators, and getting industry advice on how to navigate this emerging new risk. Then considering the development of sustainable products. That alone can also help you navigate this new threat. So, to end, the Bank of Ghana has published an exposure draft on climate-related financial risk directive to ensure the integration of climate-related risk consideration within regulated financial institutions' operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Timo. I think, of course, we've listened to him, and what we're going to do is that maybe later on, where you need better understanding each of these principles that he touched on, we can do, we can engage and really give you insights. But the key thing is that we want you to take risk management practices very seriously within your specific companies, where you address the issue of ESG. I mean, he has touched on a lot of elements which time will not permit us to really do serious deliberations on. But anytime you need help, I think because EcoBank is your bank, and they are doing business with you, and they want to see sustainability within your business. They want to ensure that your business continue to exist on a going concern basis. Because when we exist, EcoBank will exist. They get deposits from you, they give you loans. And they must, as part of good practices, risk management practices, ensure that you are doing the right thing and you continue to exist in the country for them to also have business. So respectfully, we'll end here. But anytime you need some clarity, just contact them and we'll come back to you. We deal with them I mean, of course, Bank of Ghana does not deal directly with the public, with the customer specific, but we deal with the institutions. So if you need any help, any clearance, you get to them, and of course, they will come back to us, and we'll address it. And when they come with the rules, the principles that you should try to do, especially the governance issues, please, it's not that they are trying to, but they want to ensure that you continue to exist. Exactly. I mean, that's a simple message that we want to send across. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Distinguished guests, just gone by is a presentation from the Bank of Ghana on the impact of the central bank principles on sustainable business practices. Thank you to the speakers from the Bank of Ghana. We appreciate you. So I will not forget the story about the butterfly. As you were speaking, I was so emotional. It's like when I was young, I used to see so many butterflies. Now they are nowhere. And I never thought about it. Please, #save the butterfly. We are going to save the butterfly. It's important that we do business right. Thank you so much once again. The next presentation we have coming from the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, and it's Beyond the Numbers, exploring the impact of IFRS and S2 on sustainable closure. Beyond the Numbers, exploring the impact of IFRS and S2 on sustainability disclosure by the Institute of Ghana. And to give us this presentation is a chartered accountant who has worked with both the public and the private sectors in Ghana. He worked with Deloitte, Water River Authority, Ministry of Public Sector Reforms as a consultant. And he is currently the Director, Technical and Research of the ICAG. He's a fellow of both the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana and Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. He is an insolvency practitioner and a member of the Pan-African Federation of Accountants, Board Subcommittee, and Corporate Value Reporting. He's a member of the Audit Committee of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. He has been a training facilitator on financial management, IFRS, ESG, and sustainability reporting in both local and international conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Osei Kwame Ajayi Jamfi as he takes us through the next presentation. Shall we please do it better for Sir? Thank you.
I'm sure you were influenced by Osei Kwame. I'm Osei Kweku. Anyway, thank you for having me, and good morning to all of you. You might be asking yourself, climate change, has that got to do with the accountant? Where do we fit in when you mention climate change? Anything that affects businesses affects the accountant, because accountancy is the language of business. I don't know, accountants should raise their hands here. For I was warned that I should not make the presentation high level because not all of us are accountants, and I'll do my best to do so. Yes, anything that affects a business affects the accountant, because every business needs an accountant. That's the only profession that is needed in every business. You don't need a lawyer or an engineer in every business, but you need an accountant. That is why we come in here when it comes to climate change issues, because it has impact on businesses. We've spoken a lot about this, but let me just mention one or two for you to see how it can impact on business. Insurance, for instance. There are more risk. Drought, extreme weather conditions, more risk. They have to take on more risk. So it can lead to an increase in insurance premiums. Now, let's talk about even infrastructure and buildings. Now, we are talking about flooding. Here, there can be an opportunity. You see, we always talk about the risk. Yes, because we are humans. We always look at the negative. But there can be opportunities that come along with climate change, where business will now design new products that are so resistant to climate change. Like buildings, for instance. Maybe a flood-prone area, a flood-resistant building. think about that. And so it's not all gloom and doom. There are also opportunities that go along with this. Then even tourism can affect it. You want to move to an area, maybe in summertime, you go in winter. You want to move to a place where there may be dry season, you go there, and then you see rather rainy season. And so climate change really has an impact on businesses, whether for the advantage or disadvantage. Now let's look at this survey that were conducted by Afrobarometer. Now they did a survey in almost all the African countries. And part of the responses I want to give to you is this. When it comes to droughts, floods, many Africans think that it will have an effect on their businesses. Let me take one of them. Wasn't it droughts are of greatest concern in countries like Madagascar, 86%, Cape Verde, 80%, Niger, 73%, Tunisia, 69%. It is very high. Now, when it comes to awareness of climate change issues, let's look at the figures. Ghana, we have 44%. 20% in Tunisia, 80% in Seychelles. That means we still have a lot to do for people to be aware of climate change issues. And the fact that we are talking about it now is something that we should always address our mind to. Why? Because we see the effects. It is not like what Donald Trump said. It is real. It's happening. We see the extreme weather conditions, the heat. Now it is cold, but it's still warm, isn't it? And we feel it. And so this is not a child play. It is something that is actually happening. That is going to affect businesses going forward. So we've spoken about what sustainability is. Yes, we are enjoying the resources on this earth, but some are finite. It will not be there forever. And so how can we enjoy these resources to ensure that those who will come in the future can also enjoy it? That is where there's a need for us to think about sustainability. Now, in all this, all that we are talking about, it all ends up in what we call a financial statement. Now, if you take a financial statement, you would look at the figures. Your income statement, then we have the what we call fixed assets, then also look at the cash flow. Now, all these are figures. But beyond the figures, investors are calling for more disclosures, more information beyond the figures that they see in the financial statement. Why? Because as a business, you interact with many factors within the environment, your stakeholders, those you deal with, your suppliers, for instance, your bankers, your employees, your governing body. All these are stakeholders that you deal with. And they have an impact on your business. And you also have an impact on them. You also interact with the society. Why? Because if you're a manufacturing company and you are emitting high GHG, greenhouse gas, it affects the society, the environment, and they will complain, isn't it? Cement manufacturers, they have come under attacks from communities, mining companies, because it affects their livelihood. It affects them. Now, if you take a financial statement and read the figures, where will you see this? That the company's operations affect the society or the environment. And then also natural resources that the business is using. Now, would they continue to receive these natural resources to use for their business? Perhaps at that point in time, those resources will no longer be available. Now, how can you find this in the financial statement? Because of this, during the COP26 UN Climate Change Conference, UN approved that there should be a standard, an accounting standard, that will go beyond the numbers to report on issues on sustainability, so that investors, in fact, investors were calling for it, will not only depend on the figures, but go beyond the figures. And so they came out with two standards. I'm sure you are aware, S1 and S2. One for general requirements and sustainability reporting. And the second one is on climate-related disclosures. It's devoted to climate issues. Now, you see, these standards are described as a global baseline. Why? Prior to the release of these standards, we had existing frameworks for reporting sustainability. And so this one was just to build on what is already in existence, and also ensure what is called interoperability. Now, if you want to transfer money from one network to the other, it happens, isn't it? That's interoperability. And what it means is that this global baseline will be the basic, and then we'll build on other existing frameworks. So if you are reporting to GRI or SASB, these are some of the frameworks, you will realize that the provisions in this S1 and S2 are not significantly different from what you are doing. The difference is that S1, S2 is mandatory. The rest are voluntary. And so if you are reporting with a framework and you have to mandatorily use S1, S2, look at what we don't have in S1, S2 and add. So it's interoperable. And this has been approved by many organizations, the G7, the IOSCO, Financial Stability Board, African finance ministers, central banks across the world. They've all come to accept that this is the standard that must be used. And so let me just give you a brief outlook of what S1 is all about. It's general requirements for disclosure of sustainability-related financial information. Briefly. Now, it recognizes that as a business, you are interconnected. Your operations affect others, either positively or negatively. And their operations also affect your business, either negatively or positively. Now, all these have to be disclosed in the financial statement. So that means it should be part, an additional disclosure beyond the figures for investors to know what is happening to your business. And indeed, it touches on four main areas: your governance, your strategy, your risk management, then metrics and targets. Now, when we talk about ESG, usually we talk about the social and then environmental, and we don't talk much about governance. But I tell you, governance is key. Without governance, social, environmental will not work. And so, I want to just give you an example of how governance can change the course of a business. There was a business that they had to change their board. Why? Because the business had taken a loan, is not able to pay for the loan. And the bank is threatening to take over the property. Now, when they changed the board, within 2 months, the business was able to pay their loan every month. Why? The composition of the board is so critical. If those who are on the board don't understand environmental issues, sustainability issues, and we are talking about it now, how would they be able to respond appropriately to it. It will be business as usual. You'll be there and then you were taken by events. And so this standard will require that every business have some narrative about their governance issues, their risk management strategy, and then also metrics and targets. These are measurement metrics. Now, when it comes to S2, it's the same thing. You talk about transition risk and fiscal risk, so I'll not go there. Now, it's the same content that is required. This time, it should be on your climate-related disclosures, on governance, on strategy, risk management, metrics, and targets. This will be the content of that report. But don't get worried, because we have experts that can help companies to report on sustainability, because the banks are making it a requirement. That means you need to provide that information before you can access credit. And so ICAG, we have come out with what is called a roadmap. Because of time, we know for sure that not many businesses are aware of climate issues. Now, that standard has been released, and it takes effect from this year, 2024. But we are giving 3 years for companies to adjust to the new standard. So within that 3 years, from 2024 to 2026 December, you can voluntarily implement or adopt the standard. That's voluntary. But from 2027, all what we call special public interest entities, including banks, are required. It's mandatory that they should report sustainability issues. In addition, so we didn't say public interest entities, we say special. Why? There are some entities whose operations have a direct effect on the environment. So you have added them to the PIEs for them to mandatorily report on sustainability, starting from 2027. Then 2028, other companies will become mandatory for you to report on sustainability. What it means is that in addition to your audited financial statement, you are required to report on sustainability issues, ESG issues. And there's a format for that. Now you ask this question, that who will ensure that this report is credible, can be relied on? All the claims that are made, oh, I'm able to reduce my carbon credit. Who checks what? Well, there's another standard coming. It's called ISA 5000. That is an assurance standard. That will help us to be able to assure investors that this report is credible. And so, businesses must be aware of this new standard. But we are embarking on a stakeholder engagement. We've done some engagement, but we are going to do it again, this time around, to let people know, create awareness that there's a new kid on the block. S1, S2, 2027, it will be mandatory. And so you have to start thinking about it. You can voluntarily adopt it, because now it's a requirement for many organizations, funding agencies. Without it, you will not get funding. And so let's take it serious. Let's help to get some assurance for investors, because they are putting in their money and they want to see their money's worth. And so if we don't report on ESG sustainability issues, we will not get the right funding. But you can even get it at a higher rate of interest. But with this report, you can get at a cheaper rate of interest. And so, my colleagues, I want to end by saying that S1, S2 has come to stay. And so let's get ready. In Ghana, ICAG is a regulator of the accountancy profession. And the law mandates that is able to adopt and implement international standards. And we have adopted S1, S2 because we know that it is good for businesses, it's good for investors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Osei Kweku. Thank you. A lot has been said. I feel like asking, what was your takeout? Any takers? What's your summary? I won't give the summary. What did you take out from what Mr. Kweku said? One line or even one word. Any takers? Oh, with all the notes you are writing, yes, sir. S1, S2 is coming whether we like it or not. Now, that's actually a very strong summary of that. So I was thinking, why wait until 2027 when you can begin to practice? They say practice makes perfect, right? So maybe it's about time we do it now, so that by the time it becomes mandatory, you'd have had people to support you if you don't know how. You get the right support so that you're able to do this. Next, we have our third presentation, after which we'll go into our breakout sessions. There's a code that we have just put on the tables. Now, that code is the breakout code. So please, before we go in there, just trying to ease you into the breakout. Please scan the code. You will have, I think, about 6 questions or so, and then start thinking about that. So that's what we are going to treat in the breakout session. So the third session, we are talking about beyond compliance, using environmental regulation as a springboard for sustainable innovation. Beyond compliance, using environmental regulation as a springboard for sustainable innovation. And this will be delivered by a beautiful lady from EPA, who was here the last time. And I remember after the last time when we had a Sustainability Week, when she finished her delivery, I told myself that I had a business idea. You know, I had to develop a kaftan that has, I use a pocket that is polythene, so that when people finish their gobe and the rest, instead of littering the road, they can throw it in there. When they go home, then they'll put it there. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Just quickly. So our next speaker, as I said, she's a lady, and she's the acting director and the head of the Environmental Assessment and Audit Unit of the Environmental Protection Agency, Ghana. She oversees the administration of environmental assessment of development projects across the country in line with the Environmental Assessment Regulations 1999 LI 1652. She was instrumental in the drafting of the Ghana Sustainable Banking Principles and has been instrumental in successfully training relevant bank officials on the banking principles. She is not only passionate about the quality of our environment, but is also utterly fascinated by the notion of quality assurance in impact assessment. She has worked at EPA for 2 decades in various capacities. She's a firm believer of using environmental impact assessment as a planning tool to promote a safe environment and sustainable development, where the likely environmental, socio-cultural, and economic impacts of development projects on the environment and public health are adequately evaluated and mitigated. In demonstrating this passion, she currently offers training courses to architecture students of the Ghana Institute of Architecture in KNUST to help them appreciate the importance of E&S issues in designing to achieve green projects. Distinguished audience, let's please welcome Ms. Adriana Kwaku Nelson. Ms. Adriana Kwaku Nelson. Please, a big round of applause, because this lady has some exciting ideas, and keep writing it down, because when I come back, I'll ask, and I'll get a business idea. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I would like to stand here, if you don't mind, not be on stage, so that I can interact with you all perfectly. I actually have 130 slides. It's not enough time, but it will be shared for you to read and understand, because there's a lot to read, a lot to know, a lot to understand, okay? So basically, we know I've defined what ESG is and all that. But the most important ones I want you to look at is the environmental problems we have, the social problems we have, and the governance issues that go with it. That's all that ESG is about. So, like the presenters before me talk, we are mainly looking at climate change issues. Even land use issues in our country has become a problem. Industries are being sited in places where it's not acceptable and it's impacting on their neighbors and everything else there. We are going to look at waste management and how we can deal with it. So let's move on. So there are a few legislations across board for the governance ones, move on to the environmental ones, then also social ones. So you will see all of them. There are many more, just a few of them as manufacturing industry players we need you to look at. But there are some main risks and impacts in our country. Some are external risks you can do nothing about as an operating business. The climate and weather risks, the global health risks, like we had COVID. See what COVID did to us some time back. Every one of us had to stay home. Everything came to virtually a standstill, and we had to recover from it. So there are some things you should look at. We want you to look at your operations, not only yours, but the entire value chain, your suppliers and all that. So there are some external factors that affect those ones. And also there are some ESG impacts within the company. So occupational health and safety, how do you deal with your workers? Do you protect them adequately to be able to produce? What kind of resources are you using? The biodiversity, the pollution and all that you deal with. So ESG have affected companies in so many ways. It's led to an increase in regulatory scrutiny. If you notice, and fines. You notice you go and then you are fined here and there. We don't want to fine. We want to find ways of being sustainable so that we can protect the environment and public health. Some of the risks have negatively affected reputations and public perception. If the public loses trust in a company, it takes you forever to recover. If a bank, a financial institution gives money to a company, their reputation is also at risk. EPA's reputation as a regulator is at risk. Whichever institutions are involved with that particular company are all at risk, our reputations. It has caused disruptions in operations and supply chains. So if one supplier of yours goes and uses pesticides which affects and you manufacture, can you imagine what that whole batch would be? The whole thing will be affected there. And it's attracted a lot of positive and negative news coverage. If you know, you go in and you pick water and maybe you find a finger in water or something in water and everybody goes, this water is not wholesome. And once that brand comes out, it affects you eventually. There are some principles that are embedded in. You should make sure you are looking at all levels of your decision making. You are incorporating environmental, social, and governance issues at all levels. How you treat your workers and all that is there. You are conceptualizing cities, communities where you are. You are not working in a vacuum. No one works in a vacuum. We are all interrelated. So you have to do, you are emphasizing the connection of people and the ecosystems in which you live. You have to make sure your ecosystem is well managed. The resources you are taking are dealing with it. You are promoting the most important one, is the transition from open loop, where you just use something and you dispose of it, to the closed loop system, where you can recycle. And there's virtually zero waste. So we have introduced industrial symbiosis, where one factory's waste is another's raw material. So you do the synergy in there, you move it. When you look at why you need risk, the type of risk, there's always the credit risk from that side. If a financial institution, EcoBank, gives me a loan to go do something and I cannot repay back, what happens on their books? That's the credit risk. And we have the reputational risk. I go produce something very bad. My company is shut down by all regulators. EcoBank does not get their money. The reputation of my company is down. With the financial institution that gave it, it's also down. Then you look at the liability risk. So it goes, those three are your keywords. So you always have to look at it as financial institution. It's economy, what? People and environment. Is that not it? Everyone works for profit. Some of the profit is positive. Some of it becomes negative when you are impacting negatively on the environment. So we'll look at the manufacturing sector, which you know about. The key player, you are the major consumer of natural resources and also a major contributor to the pollution. Air pollution, water pollution, solid pollution and all that. It's all there. We move on to the next sector. You have inputs and you have outputs. So you can put in, most of the time we are encouraging companies, when you have virgin material, the raw material, it's finite, right? With time it finishes. You can get to the point where you start adding things to recycle, to produce, and then you move on there, you have your outputs and all that there. Okay, so they are all there, the degradation and the requirements there, what you need to do and all that. You can read on those ones. I want to move to the cleaner production sector now. Moved from this one, they are the timelines. I want you to read over time to understand everything that moves on. So the types of pollution that mostly are from the industries. We have the water pollution, a lot of the wastewater discharges, then the air pollution, land pollution, noise. Noise nuisance is a real headache. It's a menace, and it's something that we are working on. Then there's a thermal pollution, and then there's also the visual pollution. So the wastewater from industries, because it's a major use, is there. It has the various things it deals with. The product, the sources have been listed there. This I did mainly because of our bankers. They don't understand the manufacturing sector very much. So I've given them this additional one so that before they give you loans and before they come, they would read and understand the sources, because there are some of the sources there that also is an avenue for you to give more loans for waste treatment systems to be put in place and for the environment to be protected. I'll give you a typical example, the textiles industry. They have different forms of dyes they use and all that. Okay, we have taught some of the textile industries to reuse and recycle their water, to use to water the lawns and all that, so that they spend less water in their processes. So you see this, if it's not adequately treated, these are discharges that go into the environment. Land is polluted, then the groundwater is polluted. And most of the water we drink, sometimes they will tell you it is from groundwater, aquifers. So if it's not clearly dealt with, it pollutes the environment. Then also, if you look at fish meat processing, the abattoirs and all that, various forms of waste streams from that end, they have to do treatment systems like these ones, which is capital intensive. The wastewater, the kind of substances that can be found in there. Then we look at the air pollution as well. There are various standards, that pollution control standards that they have to meet as well. Then the solid waste. Same here. We have to learn to do what with our solid waste, segregate them. So I'm giving you examples of textiles as well, the kind of waste and how it can be used. So we move on from the fish ones as well, how the ones that come. Look at what is happening. If the waste from the abattoirs are not adequately treated, see what happens. The streams, the birds there, what happens? Everything goes off. We are damaging what? The environment. What we live in, we are destroying it. So we have to look at what we can do. So there are some social and environmental issues at every stage, from when they receive the stock and all that. All those ones, they are there. So these social issues are there. But we want to look at pollution management. What we can do with the waste we are generating. Remember that the earth is not our dustbin. We should try and put as much waste into reuse, recycling, and less of it back into the environment. So for the wastewater, we have been introducing, we have a cleaner production center where we are introducing cleaner production technologies, where technologies use less water to produce the same product, and then you have less effluent. Then you also avoid discharge into the drains, use the treatment systems, and make sure they are compliant. So look at this to your left. Imagine you have given a company money, and this is what they are doing. They are not treating before discharging. So if it happens that they are shut down, what happens? At the end of the day, the environment is being destroyed, okay? Your reputation is gone down the drain as a company. The bank, what happens? You don't get your money back. So we are each other's players. Same with the air pollution. Same thing. We have to learn to manage things properly. Okay? This picture to the right was when Agbogboshi used to be what it was. Look at the impact of this. Look at how close the people were trying to extract. We have shut the place down and cleaned it. But illegally at night sometimes, they still do the operation. Sometimes we have to send our officers, and it's a risk for officers to go there. We have to involve the police to go there, just because we are trying to. Now we are trying to we've gotten some funds where the banks, we shall contact you to see if all of you can help, EcoBank in particular, where we want to put in treatment systems and the recovery systems, very basic ones, where they can do it safely. So the computers and everything can still go there and be done safely. So they protect themselves. We have had a lot of use-lead acid battery companies coming up. That is one of the most toxifying companies you can think about. A gentleman's wife died. Unfortunately, anytime I talk about it, I feel like crying. With the lead industry from the car batteries we use, it's very polluting. So when you finish work, you are supposed to bathe and keep your clothes on site. Everything is washed on site. This gentleman took his clothes home, and his wife had been washing for him. 6 months after, she died of cancer, of everything you can think about, every part of her body. Contamination, because he did not do what? Follow due procedure to make sure his work, he leaves all the pollution and pollutants there and comes home safely to his family. What was he doing? He was transferring the pollutants from his place to the house. His kids, everyone. He lost everyone. Unfortunately. It's so sad. She died first. The kids got treated for a while. 2 of them, they also passed. We have had instances where somebody who used pesticides and was carrying it on his bike. The pesticides goes into the bag of rice, gari they are having. The family cook and eat. They all perish. There are so many painful instances because of some neglect, things we do from that. So for solid waste, it is one of the most important places where it is a resource. Okay? So waste is wealth. You remember what I said the last time. It is material in transition. One person's waste can be used by another company to produce something, come out with marvelous things. So we look at the waste hierarchy. We want you to prevent as much as possible producing the waste. Where you cannot prevent, please reduce. If you cannot reduce significantly, you do the reuse, recycle, you try to recover, and the final option is the disposal. We are doing it the opposite way. Bon landfill site is full. Kumasi, full. Tamale, full. Right now, everywhere is full. Malam, Bawe, full. We are just not doing composting. Zoom Lion, Zekora Ventures, and Co. are coming on board and trying to recycle as much as possible. But I think the onus lies on all of us, even from home, individually, learning to segregate our waste. We segregate it in our ministries, EPA, we've tried it. Unfortunately, they come and they dump all in one truck and say when they go, they'll resegregate. So it's something we are also trying to do so that they get different trucks. So there's a plastic one, there's like they do in Europe. It's something that, and it's all logistics, it's all fun. So it's something we are working at. We are looking at the segregation at source. Unfortunately, we don't have the black, the yellow, the red, the green bins. So move to the next slide. What we have done is this. You just label. In Europe, advanced places, they use the color coding. So when you see black, you know what it is. When you see red, you know what it is. Unfortunately, we don't have the... Now, a few of the companies are beginning to do the colored bins, the blue, the green, the yellow. Until we get there, we have to use this system where we would label and segregate those wastes, yes. So there are some value additions, I said. In the textile industry, some of the waste, what it can be used for. So this is where the banks come in. When they come to you and they want money for a recycle plant or they want to invest in something else, please go ahead. Let them write to you. If you are not sure, let them come with you to EPA. We'll tell you which options are the best. We help you choose the best form of options to invest your money. And industry, please, your waste, don't throw them away. Find a different industry. And even if you don't want it to be CSR, that you give it to them as your corporate social responsibility, you can sell it to them. And they will buy and then they'll reuse them. Same with the abattoir as well. So we have all those ones there. So the benefits of solid waste management is reducing amount of waste going to the landfill sites and incinerators. EPA has developed relationship with a lot of industries, businesses and the financial institutions. We have been working with them to help them reduce impacts of their operations on the environment. We advise financial institutions for them to invest in companies that are compliant. We create awareness. We go through all these processes. We work with businesses for them to know about how to manage the risks of their activities on the environment and all that. We do all those things as well. We make sure they comply with standards, and we help promote sustainable development. As we are saying, we don't want to use everything today for our future generation to suffer, so we want to do that. Now, when we have also given you a permit, or when you are operating, we expect that you comply with project specifications. Typical example, if you have a production capacity, for instance, a fish processing facility, it comes with a treatment system. If you increase capacity and don't deal with the treatment system, it becomes inefficient. And then the community, the smell, everything around it will affect them, they'll complain. We expect that appropriate mitigation measures are also put in place at all times. You have to give reporting regimes. Well, how do you report? How often do you report on that? It's all listed here. Most of the companies know that. So the banks, in case of anything, if you are found wanting, ask them to give you a copy of the environmental permit schedule, not the permit, there's the one page, the schedule. It's usually 5, 10, 20, 50 pages, depends on what they are doing. It's listed on the do's and don'ts on that one for them. So move on as well. Same thing. Our permits are site-specific. So under no circumstance should you give company A money to operate a facility in the ministries. You invest in it, assessments are done, they are giving permits, they are doing everything. And then one day they say they don't want to work in the ministries anymore. They are going to Kaneshi. Then they move. No. Remember that conditions, environmental conditions within the ministry's area is different from within that area, so they need to do another assessment. We also try to make sure that, please, let them not only be compliant with our regulations, but all other regulations. How they deal, the factories inspectorate, the occupational health and safety of their staff, the standards authority, whatever they are producing, is it up to standard, okay? So basically, I want us to look at the sustainability section, okay? We want to look at the entire product life cycle, how you think about that in that place. Instead of disposing of waste, we want you to make sure that you are meeting the needs of our future generations. We want you to look at environmental protection. So preserve your natural resources, reduce pollution. From the social side, we want you to ensure there's fair access to resources and opportunity for all your employers and everything. And then from the economic viability, we want you to support long-term growth without harming the environment. These are the pillars. So the environmental pillar, social pillar, the economic pillar, the focus areas that we've been working with a lot of industry on. Okay? So we are looking at people, the planet, the profit. What is viable, what is good, what is equitable, and what is sustainable. At the end of the day, you balance all three and you get your sustainability. A few greenhouse gas emissions, you realize that, look at it, energy use in buildings amounts even to 17.5%. For transport, 16.2%. Industry, in our side, what is it? 5.2. Yet we are bashing industry more than anyone. Even the normal cars we use and all that produce a lot more than you can think about. So we have a climate change office we help companies calculate their their carbon footprint and all that. They're doing the carbon accounting. So that's what we do there. There are some standards and the frameworks that we deal with, the various scopes that we deal with as well, and then the whole steps in the carbon accounting. So we always are ready for you to invite us. We get our people to teach you how to do the carbon accounting. And then we look at strategies of reducing your greenhouse emissions. Easy strategies is to upgrade to energy efficient equipment and the optimizing processes, switching to solar, wind and all that. Doing a lot of carpooling if it's possible. If you have 2 or 3 of you living in an area, instead of all of you driving your cars, week 1, I could do the driving. Week 2, my gentleman will drive all of us. Week 3, our beautiful lady will also drive all of us. Then the next week, maybe Madame herself will drive the rest of us. If it's possible to do carpooling, we do a lot of that. And then we advise on a lot of waste reduction strategies. So there are so many different renewable energies and all that. I want you to go through all these things in your free time. It's a lot of information, very good information, teaching us how to be sustainable and all that. So energy efficiency in everything we do, our buildings like you have here. This is one of the energy efficient buildings, EDGE. A very good one for you there. Then you conduct how to conduct energy audits, not only for us, even at home. So this is something that we can all learn on. And then the sustainable principles and all that, engagements and all that. Move on. There are quite a number of things I want you to learn through this. And the most important thing is how to get started. We should start conserving energy. We should reduce our waste. And we should have sustainable sourcing. Make sure that we encourage every one of us to contribute to sustainability. So there's also something on, I was told to also give something on monitoring. So there's monitoring. Move on through monitoring. You do that to the end and go to the energy efficiency and resource. Very good. So just give me 5 more minutes. Move to the other side. All these are standards you can comply, how you can measure. Keep going. So I've given you parameters on what you can measure, the kind of people you can put in the various. The industry understands what I'm saying. I'm sure you've seen some of these in there, yes. So I'm making the bankers know what to look out for when they are coming to you for money, yes. So when they are, to give you the money to work. So the data collection, all parts. Keep going. So you see, now they know what you are supposed to do, industry. So you move there. Now, resource efficiency, why do we need it? And we need it to reduce a lot of things. And it's there because of climate change issues. We have to make sure we are sustainable. Okay? So we have to have cleaner production issues. We have to there are a lot of benefits. Then the benefits and the contributions to our SDGs, which we cannot leave. They are all intertwined. When you are looking at the cleaner production and resource efficiency, you notice that most of the time you have less waste coming up because you've done a lot of recovery, you've done a lot of recycling and all that. So that's what it deals with. And it also helps promote what? The green or a circular economy. Like I'm saying, you don't just have the things there. So that's what you do with it. So resource efficiency, the definition, they'll read it. So let's move on. Cleaner production, we have to make sure whatever you are doing is proactive. Okay? You are doing it proactively. There are various levels you can do. How you can reduce things, your emissions. When we are not in a building, a room, turn off your lights. There are basic things that you can do both at home, in the office, and at the industry. Usually cleaner production, it always reduces long-term liabilities. It usually increases profitability, lowers production costs, and then often avoids regulatory compliance and all that. So there are various pluses there work for you. So the way forward for us as industry, please, let's stop reacting. Let's rather start preventing. We are too reactive, even as we just do something, we react to it. We have to make sure that the large companies that are not able to sustain themselves can reduce their productions to smaller, medium enterprises to make sure that they are still working and they are still profitable. So we should look at the site operational focus and look at the value chain, okay? We look at, like I'm saying, you pick one thing, but look at the entire value chain from the raw material through to production, through to the consumer. That's what we want to look at. And in conclusion, I would want you all to please incorporate environmental, social governance initiatives in all our operations. Even in our way of life, it helps, okay? The first step is for us to what? Know that there's room for improvement in whatever we are doing. And then we move on and act with it. So that's basically what I have for you.
I said it, didn't I? And please keep the clap going. When Adriana takes the floor, you see passion at work. She delivers with passion. It's palpable. You can touch the passion. Thank you so much. The last time she says wasted words today, she said the earth is not our dustbin. That let's not forget. Let's teach our children. The earth is not our dustbin. Thank you so much. And she talked about industry symbiosis, where your waste is somebody's raw material. Because you know what? For every waste or pollution you create, somebody somewhere pays for it. any waste at all or pollution, somebody pays for it. And it could be you and I paying. You could pay with your life. Literally, she mentioned it. Maybe your health, your money. In fact, you are lucky when you pay with your money. Most of the time, it's our life and our health that we pay with. So please, let's be minded and ensure that when we make the things we want, we make it in a way that is kind to the environment. Because sustainability really is not about doing less bad things or evil. It's actually increasing and doing more good. Thank you so much. I've learned so much from you. And we'll take the slides and learn so that when we are going to give them money, we'll know where to take the boxes to take. Thank you once again. So it's time for our breakout session. So please look at the QR code that we put there. We'll be in teams of 8. So you look at your table. If you are slightly, maybe 6 or 7, you push 2 other people to join you in teams of 8 on each table. Once you scan the code, you see there are about 6 or so questions that we want you to think through and answer. While doing it, please get somebody who would speak on behalf of the group after it's done. Every group will be called upon to answer one of those questions. You never know which one you answer, so please try as much as possible to go through all the questions. We have like 25 minutes to do this. It's 11:25, so by 11:50 we are done. If you're online, you are not left out of this. It's exciting. We are going to take you into your breakout rooms now, automatically. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything. You'll be put into a room. Once the time is up, you come back into the main session. We are doing this for you effortlessly. Just relax online and get into your breakout room. The same question. So please, can I see some movement around? It's just the chairs you're moving in groups of 8. You scan the code, you see 6 or so questions. This one, you have to attempt all the questions. You cannot choose not to attempt any question. Answer all questions. All the questions are mandatory. And then get somebody to be writing down to speak to the questions once we are done. 25 minutes. We are back here at 11:50 exactly. So I want to see the groups that I can do some numbering so that when I say group 1, okay, let me see. Is everybody seated? Do we have groups? Groups of 8. Yes, in this neighborhood is not 8. So some of you can join this table. I see, I think 6, 7. Yes. 25 minutes. This one we say start work now. Pens down at 11:50. So starting from my left, group 1. Can you please? Yes, that's group 1. Group 2? No, group 2. Please wave at me. Group 2, yes. Group 3? Okay. Group 4? Group 5? Group 6? Exactly. Okay. Group 7? The lady yelled group 7. Please wave at me. This is group 7. Group 8? No, this is 8. Yes, group 8. Group 9, and then group 10. So please keep your group numbers. We are back at 11:50 exactly. Attempt all questions. 8, and then 9 and 10. That's group 8. Oh, please join. Please join. It doesn't have to be. If it's just 2 people, it can be a group of 9 or 10 is fine. Please feel comfortable. Join any of the groups. We'll give marks to all the groups that attempt all the questions. So please attempt all the questions. Thank you. I hope you are more than halfway done. We have 7 minutes. We are attempting all questions. You cannot opt out of any of the questions. So please, 7 minutes to finish up. Thank you. Please be getting ready to stop work. We are literally seconds into the time. Okay. Please, if we were assumption, I would have said, please, pens down and pencils down. This time it's phones down, right? It's time. Thank you so much. I see there's a lot of engagement happening, and I hope that it's not just the engagement, you're networking as well. That opportunity is what you've just had. Thank you very much. Please remain in the teams for just the next 5 minutes. Can I please have your attention? If I don't have your attention, -5 for the table. Oh. I'm deducting math. Okay, so I am sure that for our friends and our guests online, you're also back into the main session. Welcome. They are keen to share with us, so we'll allow them. We have 4 groups online as well, so a total of 14 groups. It's a very packed morning. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. You want to start from 2? It starts from 2. Okay, so question 2. Who wants to start question 2? Okay, I was going to jump to 2027. I was going to make it mandatory, but now, okay. No, the hand came up here first, the lady in green. So let's first come, first serve. Let's allow her to speak to question 2. Is that a question, though? What's question 2? Okay. My lady, you can please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah.
Hi.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
My name is Barnabas Sampao. I'm Head of Quality Control and Research for Accra Compost and Recycling Plant. I'm taking the question 2, and it says, can you describe how organizations in this industry typically ensure compliance with EPA regulations within their manufacturing operations?
Can I indulge you and ask that, please, if you can please be upstanding, and then you project so that we hear you.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
My name is Barnabas. I've already mentioned my name, so let me go straight to the question.
Yes.
The question says, can you describe how organizations in this industry typically ensure compliance with EPA regulations within their manufacturing operations? So I'm going to use my company, for instance, to explain. In the first instance, we need something we call the environmental impact assessment, where we want to cite the company, whether it will affect those living around or not. And then comes the environmental management plan. The EPA officers are aware of what I'm talking about. It states, it's like a guideline. It states what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do. So, for instance, something like the particulate matter, we need to run tests on them. We need to run tests on the noise levels. We need to run tests on the leachate that we leave out to go. And then we need to also look at the environment itself in terms of the temperature at where the staffs are working and all that. So it's when we are renewing the certificate that we add all this and then we submit to EPA. It's like a regulatory body, steps that is guiding us on what we are doing in the plant, for instance. So in the document, we state even what we use. If we have a fuel tank, or let's say a fuel dispensing section at the company, we state it. We give the quantity of fuel that we have. We state the electricity consumption that goes on there, the organic that we process and all that. We also state the parameters of interest when it comes to the product that we are producing. You know, when it comes to compost, there are heavy metals involved in there. And most of these heavy metals are carcinogens, as in cancer causing.
Yeah.
So we need to run tests on them to show the levels of these heavy metals in our product. So by so doing, the EPA guys will get to know whether we conform with the parameters stated or we are out of range.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Shall we please clap for him? Thank you so much. Thank you. Just two more. Any table that wants to take any of the questions, and please let's get the online group too, if they're ready. Yes, gentlemen, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Daniel Jektiasare, Inkulinu Industries Limited.
Okay.
Yeah, so feeding off question 2, question 3. Some of these, so we adopted some technologies to help with reduction of emissions at our company. So we had to employ the technology, gasifier technology, to help reduce the emissions that we produce. But then as a challenge, which is question 3, talks about the high cost. So there was nothing like that in the country at the time. And I'm not sure for now, though. And we had to get it in from China. And it works, but then initially, too, as part of the challenges, expertise to be able to work with the technology efficiently was a bit of a try and error at the start, because we had our own raw material biomass to use, which was our fiber. So that's a bit of looping in our waste to produce fuel, as fuel for the boiler. So, but eventually we got it right, and then, but that was the major challenge, expertise and then the expense. Yeah, so.
All right, thank you. So I hear him say the challenges could be technical know-how. So he had the machinery that he needed, but how to use it was a challenge. And of course, the initial investment of going to buy that from China. The last one, okay, yes.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Elizabeth Hazel. I'm Communications Coordinator for Volta Ghana Limited. And I'll be tackling question 3 on the best practices. So I think one thing that we found helpful is creating safety departments for tackling things like noise pollution, for example. Making sure that employees always have PPEs on, earmuffs, to make sure that the noise coming from their production operation doesn't affect them in the long run. Like the example she gave on the employee going home with his attire and affected the entire family. And I think another thing we can do, or another thing that can be done, is creating like a rewards system where companies that are doing well environmentally can be given points to encourage them as a form of motivation.
All right, I see Adriana shaking the head. So the incentive system works. So once you do the right thing, maybe EPA gives you some point. By the time you're doing your renewal, they give you something back. Well, it could actually be a reduction on the renewal fee. She said yes. So you don't have a problem. Thank you. Or do we have the online group ready? If we have, can you please loop them in so that we can hear them speak? Then we move on to the next. We are almost at the end of the session. Technical team, is the online team ready? Okay, so I hear not yet, and so we'll move along. So thank you. I see that you had all the notes, but it was good that we engaged across, even though it's in manufacturing sector. I'm sure that there are different industries ahead of Vortic and all that. And by the way, kudos to Vortic. Thank you. Shout out to them. You see the beautiful bottles. And these bottles are recycling, right? Or recyclable. How do you call it? Recyclable bottles. So you twist. I like the twist, and it's so fun to do that. But when you twist, please know that the earth is not your dustbin. So twist and put it at the right place. Thank you for giving us water, refreshing us this morning. We appreciate your support. Please, let's do it for Vortic. Thank you so much. Okay, so 5 minutes before we go into closing remarks, maximum 7 minutes, we have the last presentation, but it's important that you listen, because for all the 3 presentations that have come, lots of insights, a lot of nuggets, and things that you can work. What I like about the presentations is there's not grammar, social grammar that will move. These are things that you can literally work from here and start implementing and working with. So we have leveraging energy efficiency and renewable energy technologies for business sustainability and competition. A very short one from the PR and projects manager for AGI. Do you have Mr. Isaac Kofi Batini here? Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So you walk us through it briefly, that would be good.
Thank you. Do you have the... Good morning. I've seen some familiar faces here, but I think majority, I do not know. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Isaac, as was mentioned. I work with the Association of Ghana Industries. Specifically, I work with the Energy Service Center at the AGI. The Energy Service Center is a center, and as my CEO mentioned earlier, we're actually changing it into a sustainability department at the AGI to provide broad services in terms of sustainable energy and climate related solutions for industries. Okay, great. So my presentation this morning is briefly on how businesses can leverage energy efficiency and renewable energy to become sustainable and also to be competitive, basically. So I just have a slide here on the global context of energy transition. So we have been hearing about sustainability. A key component of sustainability globally has to do with energy transition. Basically, we are encouraging the global energy consumption to transition from fossil fuel-based sources to renewable energy-based sources. So basically, we have that global context. There is that just to meet the Paris Agreement of 1.5 degrees Celsius climate, yes. So from the global context, you see the Ghana context here. So, of course, Ghana government has signed on to various frameworks, these agreements. So it means that nationally, too, they have to put in place regulations and acts to ensure that they encourage citizens and corporate institutions to comply. So you could see a number of them. This is actually not exhaustive. I just took a quick glance from 2012 to current one. The ones that are of interest, particularly for us, will be the National Energy Transition Framework, the Electric Vehicle Policy, and then the Emissions Levy Act. So the framework basically was, I think it was launched in 2022, basically a long-term net zero framework to complement existing efforts with new measures. So basically, Ghana wants to move our energy to... So we want to move, increase renewable energy penetration, convert our thermal plants to natural gas, and integrate nuclear power into our energy mix. This is actually a blueprint for transitioning Ghana into a climate-resilient, low-carbon energy country. Basically, what we are pushing for in this document is that the transition should be just and equitable. So we have heard our president talk about just and equitable transition, which means that we should also be allowed to exploit our fossil fuel-based resources whilst also pursuing sustainability. So that is the framework that we have. Next slide. Then, of course, I also talk briefly about the emissions tax. My CEO mentioned it earlier, which was passed this year. Government is trying to tax us for our emissions. Basically, the emissions levy looks like the VAT. VAT is similar to the VAT now. It will be implemented by the GRA. So what it means is that companies in specified sectors will submit a return on the quantity of emissions and levy payable monthly. So you will also be required to file an estimate of the levy payable for each year of assessment by the end of the first month of the year. So by the end of January, you should file to GRA on how much your emissions for the year is likely to be. Then monthly, you are supposed to be making returns. So all amounts collected will be paid into the consolidated fund by the GRA. We currently do not have information on the implementation schedule. As my CEO mentioned, we have been having some consultations with the GRA on the implementation. We have some challenge with the implementation, especially the one designed for industry. Next slide. They are talking about 100 Ghana cedis per ton of emissions per month. We think it's on the higher side because if you look at it, look at the sectors that will be affected: construction sector, manufacturing, mining, oil and gas, electricity or heating company, which means that our utility companies are also going to be affected, ECG and co, which means once it's slapped on them, we are also going to be paying. So eventually we also have to pay. Yes. So if you look at the second row, you see the estimated emissions. So that's just a quick exercise we did for some benchmark emissions for these industries. You see construction, benchmark emissions is 5,000, which means that annually, these stars will be taking 500,000 from the construction company. Manufacturing, if you are emitting around 10,000 tons CO2 equivalent, you'll be paying 1 million Ghana cedis annually. Mining company. So you can imagine, the more your emissions, the more tax we have to be paying to government. We have a problem with we don't have a problem with the tax, but we have a problem with the levy itself, the amount, and also AGRs, my CEO mentioned also, we seem to have an issue with putting this money into the consolidated fund because we think that one, when it gets there, it will vanish. So we want a fund that will be created, because there is also a task to make sure that companies become what? They decarbonize. So you should create a fund that would serve as an incentive for companies to go in and then tap in that. Next slide. So energy transition and industry, I think I will just skip over this. Industry contributes 32%. We know that the industry is the third largest consumer of energy. Energy issues. So industry really face energy trilemma. Okay, 3 minutes. Okay, next slide. So it means that industry, basically, we want to look for sustainable energy. I think this is a familiar slide. So we all know that electricity tariffs have been increasing, right? Since 2022. For households, they have almost gone 100%. For industry, it's around 75% since September 2022. Industry, and that means that what your cost of production is increasing because your energy cost is also a component of your production cost. The next slide, of course, diesel also has been increasing. I think between 2020 and now, about 205% increment in the cost of diesel that companies will use as a backup to the grid. So basically, it means that we have to adopt energy efficiency in our companies. So the AGI has established an energy service center, and basically what we are pushing there is energy efficiency and renewable energy for our member companies. I was going to, maybe I should just skip that. So go to the next slide. Yes, so we do energy audits for the companies. I gave this definition of energy audit here, but I think we can read that later. Next slide. We have 3 types of energy audits that we do for companies according to the ISO standard. So we have the walkthrough audit, which is a basic audit. We have the detailed audit. We have the comprehensive audit. We have a pool of experts that will come in and do this for you on request. We have possible energy savings that you could gain from this audit. We have zero capex savings, low capex, and then high capex and medium. All of this, when you implement the measures from the audits, you can gain this. Next slide. We also offer ISO 50001 energy management system implementation support to companies. Next slide. Next slide. So, of course, we also support companies at the center with renewable energy transaction advisory. So, basically, if you are a company that is interested in venturing into the RE space, you can come to us. We'll come and do feasibility study for you. After that, we put together a report, support you with developing the bill of quantity, put out a tender, support with the selection of the vendor, become your owner's engineer, basically to ensure that you get the best value for your money. So that's a service we provide. Next slide. This is a regulation as part of Ghana's RE Act, which is mandating companies that are classified as bulk customers to secure a percentage of their energy from renewable energy sources. The definition of bulk customers is there. Maybe you can read that later. Yeah, next slide. So this is an incentive for companies to venture into renewables now, because there is an opportunity for you to, when you have solar on your rooftop, you can feed it into the grid, and at the end of the month, you get a balance from, not direct balance, but you get to balance with your consumption from the grid. So we call it net metering, where your excess power that you are generating from renewable energy sources, you can feed it into the grid, and then ECG pays you back for it. Yeah. I have a slide here on what renewable energy and energy efficiency can do for your business, but because of time, I will not go through. So next slide. Next. So these are just some of our clients. They are AGM members. Some are here. I've seen Qualiplus. Andrea is here. Next slide. So this is our latest initiative. What we are doing now is currently to put together various networks. We call them energy efficiency networks. So we have launched the first one last year. It's a group of companies, high consuming energy companies, basically that want to become energy efficient and adopt renewable energy. So we are providing them with support for 24 months. We have 15 companies in the network. We did energy audit for them, a very detailed energy audit, and they are currently in implementation. So we have technical meetings with them. We support them with their implementation support. Majority of the cost is covered by external sponsorship. Currently, it's being covered by GIZ. The company is expected to just pay 1% as a commitment fee. Next slide. I guess I'm done. Thank you. That time, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot of information, yes. Once the slides are given, I esteemed and cherished customers and guests here would read. Thank you so much. So before the closing remarks, you've heard so many things about how you can operate your business sustainably. But of course, you need finance, right? And I like that the table talked about the challenge of finance. So they had to go and buy this from, say, China or India. Yeah, China. They needed money, so she said finance was a challenge. You are the home where money is. This is where there's money, isn't it? Yes, so let's tell you about how we can support you for your business to grow. Because yes, we are going for both economic growth and sustainability. We are having both happening. So I'd like to get some of our colleagues to tell you about some of the amazing things that EcoBank does for you, does for other countries across Africa. And that's why we say Africa is our purpose. For us, it's building a better Africa every day. And it's a better way for a better Africa. May I kindly ask that we welcome my colleague, Head of SME, Kingsley Adofo, to please, Kingsley, talk us through the commercial banking business, some of the offers, after which we'll hear from the Head of Corporate Banking.
Thank you and good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good. I think we've had a quite detailed and intense morning. And just to be brief, to take you through a few of the areas of financing that we have available for our commercial banking business. When we say commercial banking, we refer to businesses that are locally registered and turnover annually less than $50 million annually. And this, we break them up into three. We have the SME businesses, that's the small, medium enterprises that we support. We have the local corporates, and finally the non-governmental public sector that takes care of schools and faith-based institutions. Specific to our acts today, we are talking about manufacturing companies who needs to take care of both their supply side and demand side of need, still with a sustainable mindset in place. And to do that, we ensure that we provide you with the support in financing your, being it equipment, being it expansion, being it even working capital needs to bring in the raw materials that you so need, but in a sustainable way. And additionally, we can see that in trying to make that transition from what we are used to a sustainable environment is often very capital intensive as well. And how do we ensure you can do that transition efficiently is to leverage the partnerships that we have with international organizations, with local experts around to ensure we deploy efficient and concessional funding to you to achieve that transition. Specifically, as a good example, following on from AGI's presentation, is, for example, audits have been done for your business. You are a manufacturing concern. You've been clearly pointed to areas of improvements that you need to do to achieve a reduction in emissions, to achieve efficiency in production. How do you finance that? He made mention of efficiencies around renewable energy. Through our partnership with the Green Climate Fund, we are able to provide you with that needed financing support to make that transition, to invest in renewable energy solutions for your manufacturing concern. If you are also in agribusiness processing, within the value chain, our mindset is to ensure you stay in an efficient value chain that you are then able to easily transition from the supply and the demand side as well. So we have solutions in place to support you with that. I think Seth mentioned of about $16 million facility. Clearly, that is a $30 million facility to support solar rooftop systems for businesses like yourselves over a period of time. And so if you're interested, talk to us. Those that are not EcoBank customers, we invite you to engage with us. We will support you in this transition. We have lived it as a bank. You would see all the accolades there on the wall, including our air transition. This is something we want to share with you, and we are happy to work with you on this journey to a sustainable world. Thank you, and we will be open for any further discussions after this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for the brief exposure into the offerings and the solutions we have for the commercial banking division. It's time to hear from our corporate banking head, Mr. Johnson Owari.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for attending in your numbers. Very impressive. Thank you very much. This clearly shows that ESG is not just something that is being talked about, but we are living it in Ghana. And it is really for the future. So thank you very much for coming. So I think Kingsley talked about the commercial banking business. So anything above the commercial banking business is set with corporate banking. And so we typically deal with the big corporates. And you know, I envy him so much. You know, he gets to do a lot of the, you know, financing on the ESG and everything. So now, please, you know, I'm here, you know, just pleading with you, me to give me some, okay? Give me some to do so that I can say that, you know, I've also financed this project, okay? So essentially to say that on the corporate banking side, we are very keen and aligned. You know, being here essentially to say that, you know, as a bank, we are putting our money where our mouth is. So we are not just discussing ESG. We are keen to support the sector and to drive the sector and to drive the economy. So if you are an organization that is seeking to improve your energy mix, please talk to us. You know, sometimes we have organizations using their working capital, you know, when they are that pressure from, you know, regulators, and they use their working capital and they do a lot of the things that puts pressure on them. We want you to talk to us. We will set aside something special for you that will not put pressure on your account. Okay, we also will be very interested in talking about if you want to improve your system such that your waste management will be more efficient, please talk to us. We are happy to provide the required funding to ensure that you have a waste-free, you know, environment. Also, we'll be happy to look at projects that, you know, have significant social impact. Please talk to us. Indeed, in some of the areas, we have some organizations that have expressed interest in even providing grants. So talk to us if you have any project that will have significant social impact. We'll be very happy to have the discussions with you. Also, we are very much known in the environmental, you know, bond section. So for those of you who need environmental bonds, we have a lot of experience and we should be able to do that for you very, very quickly and easily. So now you know that if you want to do anything on the side of ESG, you want to be environmentally efficient, you want to go into some energy sectors that will improve your consumption, please, I'm happy. And as I said, you know, from the beginning, come to me. I want to be like Kingsley. Please, I'm willing to do as many projects as you have. So now you know where to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's continue with the applause. Thank you to our two gentlemen, Kingsley Adofuado, Head SME Commercial Banking and Head of Corporate Banking. Mr. Johnson Owari, thank you for telling us what you stand to gain when you join us. There's no better place to be than EcoBank. Oh, I thought you'd. Thank you, thank you. It's been an exciting morning. Thank you so much for being here. And importantly, thank you for your active participation. And to our audience online, we've loved your company as well. They are actively involved. They're asking questions. So thank you, everybody, for being here. So if you've just joined us, or if you just heard about this, let me just remind you that this morning, EcoBank Ghana PLC, in collaboration with the Association of Ghana Industries, have just gone through our first series of our client workshop series where we focus on the manufacturing sector. This morning, we're looking at unlocking manufacturing, a roadmap to effective ESG implementation. We have very exciting and insightful presentation so far. So I would like to call on our Country Credit Risk Officer, Gordon Nyamechapra, to give us the closing remarks.
Thank you, Reggie. All too soon, the program is coming to an end, and thank you for your enthusiastic engagement. EcoBank, we are Equator Principled Bank. What that means is that we are committed that our activity will not harm the Mother Earth. So that commitment on the UN Global Compact is what you are committed to do. So we are even represented on the UN Global Compact Ghana network. We are also, per regulation, required to also do certain things to do business sustainably. So the regulator mentioned that the State Banking Principle that we're supposed to comply with. So under our commitment on the UN Global Compact, we are supposed to do sustainable business. Under the regulatory side, you are supposed to also do sustainable banking. And it is important that the customers that we deal with, like you, understand, appreciate what sustainability is all about. So this morning, we thank you so much for making us available and going through all this process. In fact, because of this commitment, we are supposed to engage you and do certain things. So without appreciating what the principles are and what's supposed to do, it will be difficult for us to really even let you do certain for us. For instance, the ENS assessment that we do, certain clients are ENS sensitive, like manufacturing. We have oil and gas, we have construction, we have transport, we have certain mining. So these ENS customers are supposed to go to certain procedure to meet the requirement of central bank and also outcome at the UN Agreement Compact. So this engagement, it really is helping us to let you know and understand and appreciate what is required. So it's going to be a series of such workshops going forward. It's going to be on a quarterly basis. So we start with manufacturing. You are lucky to be the first person to be enrolled into that. We'll go into transport. We invite people within oil and gas, mining, all the sectors that are actually ENS sensitive areas. I've learned a few quotes this morning. I heard from Reggie saying that you cannot do business on a dying earth or earth that is dead. I also heard that the earth is not what a dustbin. In fact, before you die, you feel. Before a human being dies, your organs begin to fail. So we don't want to do. There's also one more quote: you cannot do sustainable business in a failing world. So we don't want to die. We don't want to have our organs to fail, because when somebody is dying, say your heart has failed before you die. So to get to the point where the earth will die and no business, we don't want with this Mother Earth to also fail. So because of that, we need to ensure that everything that we do is sustainable. So think sustainability, behave sustainability, act sustainability, and dream sustainability. Thank you so much for coming, and we wish that after this program, all that we have learned to put in good use. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Now let's have the last sustained clap. I like behave sustainability. Behave sustainability. Thank you. So a lot of things that we are taking away today. You know, there's no business on a dying planet. He said it. But in all this, thank you for spending time with us this morning. A quote from Anilona that says, there is no such thing as a way. When we throw anything away, it must go somewhere. So please don't forget. So don't just say, I threw it away. There's nothing like away. When it goes away from your doorstep, it ends at somebody's. And so today, you and I, and for our audience online, let's determine to no longer accept the things we can't change. However, change the things we can't accept. And all of us, we know things that we don't want to accept. The dying environment, the fact that I don't see butterflies. I'm not sure that my children see enough butterflies. I can't accept that now. It was not conscious until this morning. So again, hashtag save the butterfly. I'm not forgetting that. So let's just determine to do the right thing. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us. It's been a lovely morning and now in the afternoon. My name is Regina Ofori. It's been a delight doing this with you. And we hope to see you again very soon when we do our next series with our clients. So thank you, online audience. Thank you for staying with us. And if there are questions online, we would continue to answer. So please, you can continue to share. Even after the live, share the link for your friends and others who could not join to watch a rebroadcast of the event. And then all the questions will be done. So thank you, and please have a good afternoon. Now, having said that, we are not leaving. Group pictures. So I know you wanted to clap, don't worry. We'll do the group pictures. So because we are many in this room, which makes me actually very excited because it means a lot of us have benefited this morning, we will take the facilitators and the EcoBank officials in front to come in front. Then we'll do maybe 3 tables each so that everybody gets to take a picture. We want to see everybody's face. We are taking sustainable pictures, pictures that we can keep for long. So we want to see all the faces. If you can please help me move this from here. So can we have the facilitators, EcoBank officials, please come in front. Then I'll take this table, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you can please come and join, then we'll take the first picture. So please, energy, don't worry. If you don't have energy, don't worry. We have something delicious and yummy packed for you right when you step out of here. We know it's lunchtime, so we have you sorted. You can please climb up. Give us your best pose because we are sustaining this image. Photographer, do you see all of us? This is a sustainable image. Thank you. Can I please have these tables as well? 1, 2, 3, and maybe the fourth one here. Madam, if you can please join me. Yes, EcoBank and the facilitators, please stay. We want to take. And please, if you've taken the picture, we are done. You can out and pick your lunch. Once you step out, right on the right-hand side, we have some yummy packs for everybody. Please climb up. Put on a very broad smile, a sustainable smile. That's fine. Okay, I think he wants some of us to go up. Which of us? The man with the red tie? Okay. Chief, can you please come here? Oh, he's not moving. Please get ready. All right, thank you. Can I get the next set? This, please come. And these two tables, all these tables, yes, please come.